So what is wife-sized sex? And why is this such an important topic to understand if porn is your issue and you're single, newly married, or even been married for many years? Today we discuss that topic on Finding Traction. Welcome aboard.
Guys ready?
When it comes to porn, are you stuck, spinning out, or slipping backwards in your life? If so, then welcome to the Finding Traction podcast, a show dedicated to those who are looking to gain recovery momentum away from porn and toward the life and relationships they have always hoped for. Now, here's your host, Vern Tomke.
Now, I don't know if you've ever heard that term wife-sized sex before and where your mind went when I used it. So let me quickly tie that hot air balloon to the ground before it floats off in your mind in all sorts of unhealthy directions. I first heard that term from a recovery podcaster, a guy named Tony Ingrassia, and I've interviewed him before. And I heard him use that term on a podcast, and he explained it. And when he did, and a number of things began to click in place in my mind. And so let me just first of all say the idea and the term wife-sized sex, it doesn't refer to a body type, in case you're wondering. What it does is it refers to your appetite for sexual stimulation and the internal engine that you have that drives it. So, why is that such a crucial topic to understand for all the different stages of your life and the stage you're in your sexual recovery? So let me explain. First of all, let's present the guy. Let's say he's single or he's not yet married. And sometimes guys who are in that place in life, they struggle with coming up with what my buddy Matt Dobschutz calls their big why. What is their big why for recovery? You're starting to hear sometimes, for example, the rise of porn-induced erectile dysfunction. And that's beginning to show up in younger guys who've been heavily into porn. And, that would certainly get most guys' attention as to giving them a compelling reason to maybe stop looking at porn. But let's say that isn't your issue, or it hasn't surfaced yet. And we're asking this question. So I'm single, or, I'm in my early 20s or mid-20s. I'm not yet in a relationship. Why should I stop looking at porn? Of course, the hope is that many of us had is that when I finally get into a relationship that includes sex, of course, then my physical world of sex can replace the stopgap measure of me having to look at porn. Now, come on. We all hoped that when we were single and looking at marriage, we all hoped that marriage would take care of all of our sexual urges, right? And that we wouldn't desire or look at porn anymore. Well, guess what happened? For most of you, now if you're single, you're probably having to take my word at this. But most of us who looked at porn when we were single and then got married found that we still wanted to look at porn as much when we were married or in a committed relationship as we did when we were single. And you go, really? Trust me, that's the case. So, what does the idea of wife-sized sex, how does it fit into this idea of helping us with our big why and understanding this whole process? So let's say you're like many guys, you spend a lot of your teenage years and maybe into your 20s now, or late 20s, maybe even early 30s, and you've been heavily indulgent in porn. However you want to define that. It could have started when you were 12 or 13. Some guys even earlier with, of course, easy access to smartphones and the internet. But here you are. Let's say you're now in your 20s and you have had over a decade of committed and steady porn use. Well, here's the deal. You have literally trained your body around sexual arousal. Every time you looked at porn, you invited pleasure chemicals to flood your body and create an arousal response, right? I mean, that's what's happening when you get an erection. Those chemicals are natural. The chemicals in your body are natural, but your porn use stimulated them artificially. And each time you indulged in porn, it's like you took the accelerator, the gas pedal of your sexual car, and you pressed the pedal to the floor. And just like when you push the gas pedal to the floor, your sexual engine is now roaring and racing. And you learned to rev the engine over and over and over again a lot, and your body became used to it. Here's the point. You spent 5, 10, 15 years sexually stimulating yourself to be in a heightened stage of arousal. Now, as a young person, your sexual drive is already fairly high and strong, but it's not that strong and it's not that steady because of your porn use. You have inflated that sexual arousal template. You know, you might have heard of the circadian rhythm. You know, that's the rhythm around your awake and sleep, cycle. For example, you go to Europe and you come back and your sleep schedule is thrown completely off for a few days, right? Your circadian rhythm's thrown off, right? And that's that biological thing of when you get up, when you go to bed, how easy it is to sleep. Well, your body also has a natural sexual rhythm of build up and release that you've been designed with. You all know what I'm talking about. And if it's too long, you end up having a wet dream or something that ends up in a biological way taking care of that biological buildup. But here you are as a young person, and because of porn and your inflated chemicals that you bring into your body over and over again, your body has lost all touch with its natural sexual rhythm. I mean, you've been living on sexual steroids for so long that you don't even know what's natural anymore. So now, let's fast forward a little bit. You're in this place where you live with your foot pressed to the floor, and now you begin to enter into a serious relationship. Let's say you move towards marriage. So now you have this artificial, super inflated sex drive fueled by porn, and your engine has been running with the pedal to the metal. Well, here's the problem. Trust me, your new wife will eventually want to leave the bedroom, and then you won't know what to do with yourself. You have put inflated and pressurized sexual expectation on your new relationship, and it won't be long before your wife comes up short, or feel used, or wonder why she can't satisfy you. And it can literally take months. I tell this to single guys or even newly married guys. Guys, I say it literally takes months for your body to adjust to this new reality. For your body to adjust to wife-sized sex. Unless, of course, you choose to bridge the gap with porn or masturbation to make up the difference. Which, of course, will only further strain and cause distance in your relationship. And that's why, I just sat down with a guy the other day and we were talking about this. And I said, you know what? This is why I encourage guys to recover from porn addiction, all these behaviors before they enter into a relationship. Because what it does is it allows your body to learn to live without the porn. And the porn-induced flood of all of that external tailwinds that keeps pushing you from behind. You can actually live without having an orgasm every day, or 3 times a day, or every 3 days, or whatever it is that you've trained yourself in. Okay, so that's a bit of an understanding of how that term applies to developing your big why if you're single or you're moving towards a relationship. Okay, let's move forward a little bit and apply this to the guy who's been married a while but still looking at porn. You say, well, then why should I stop? Especially if I haven't been caught yet. Well, a number of years ago, a lot of years ago now, I read a book called Every Man's Battle that I didn't find all that helpful. Actually, it was unhelpful in a number of ways. But there was one thing in that book. Every book has got at least one good thing. You got to have at least one good thing in it. And the author in that book, he talked about this biological stages that our bodies go through. Now, I might have the details wrong, but you'll understand a little bit what I'm saying here. He said stage 1 is where you think about sex every 2 or 3 days. Stage 2 is where you think about sex every 2 or 3 hours. And stage 3 is where you think about sex every 2 or 3 minutes. Now, again, I might have the specifics wrong, but the bottom line is this. The longer you go without sex, usually the more sexual you feel. And the point is, in fact, we've actually, when our marriage is going really well and we're able to laugh and joke with each other, my wife has sometimes said to me, we've kind of had a bit of a joke, well, what stage are you in? Stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3? And it's actually, that is helpful because it depends on maybe how long it is since you've been intimate with your wife. It could mean all sorts of things to know how sexual am I feeling. Now, that is natural. To be in stage 3 is a natural physical progression. Now, if you're a woman listening to this, you just might not get it. You go, I don't get that at all. But guys, trust me, the guys know what I'm talking about. There was a video series I watched years ago called Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage. And I'm not sure if it's still politically correct, but it probably is, some parts of it. But I think it was Gunger, Mark, I think it was, could have that wrong. But he basically says that stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 progression, is meant and designed by God to remind the married man that he's still married and that he needs to be nice to the girl. Now note, we shouldn't just be nice to the girl, when we're in stage 3. But his point was it's a normal and natural physical magnetic attraction involved around your sexual stages. And that's just the way it is. And I think he's onto something there. It's always easier to be nice to my wife when I'm feeling really sexual than when I'm not. I'm just being honest with you. Now, hopefully I'm always nice to my wife. And those of you who know my wife may want to ask her. But I think Mr. Gunger's onto something there. But here's the problem. All of that is simply the natural ebbs and flows and swings of our sexual rhythm. But what happens when you add nitrous oxide to the gas in your car? Now I'm really diving into, I'm not mechanical, I don't go to drag races, but I know that nitrous oxide, from what I read on Google, it supercharges a car. It adds a whole new dimension of horsepower to your car. But it's not without risk, apparently, because you can really mess and do serious engine damage because, according to Google, the air-fuel ratio becomes too lean. But we'll leave that alone. But here's the point. You've now, by porn, you've added nitrous oxide into your gas supply, and you now have a racing engine. Again, I don't know much about racing cars. I drive a Toyota Matrix, so what do I know about any of this? But here's the point. If you're a married man and you're looking at porn, you are supercharging your arousal. You're throwing off any natural rhythm, and you are pressuring your relationship unnaturally. See, that's why couples get into sexual intimacy battles. Guess that she thinks, well, he always wants it, and he thinks she never wants it, and the wheels come off the bed. You get that? The bed and the car. You see the connection there? So here's the point. And let me say this. Sometimes this supercharged, pressurized thing that enters into marriage sexuality is just around frequency. If you're a guy looking at porn, you're going to be way more and want sex way more often because you're adding nitrous oxide to your arousal fuel. It also could be applied sometimes in areas. Wife-size sex could simply be you're frustrated because your wife won't do the things that the porn star does for the guys on the videos. That is another example of pressurized sex, where you've lost your circadian sexual rhythm because the pressure that porn has brought into the bedroom. You see, even being married, wife-size sex, still important. All right. One last application, and this one is probably only, you know what, it might be applicable throughout the ages, but I'm going to throw this one out if you're over the age of 45. And it could be 40 or 50, depending on you, but here's the point. As you age, your testosterone level goes down. So often does your sex drive begin to go down. Apparently, testosterone actually starts dropping in your 30s, but most guys don't notice a drop in their sex drive right away. Again, everyone varies, but here's the point. It's not like your sex drive goes away. It just becomes more spread out. That stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 isn't happening over such a short period. It's more elongated. I used to teach math. It's more spread out. So maybe, just throw, let's say you used to feel sexual every 2 or 3 days. Now it might be every 4 or 5 days or every 7 days or whatever. The point is, it's not as often that you're feeling, especially like your engine is racing. Again, that's natural. It's likely that you have less sex than you did when you were in your 20s and 30s, but that's okay for you. And that's okay for your wife. You want it less. She wants it less. And it's still all good. It's wife-sized sex. Except for what? You guessed it. You throw all of that natural progression out the window when you bring in the nitrous oxide of porn. I've talked to a number of guys, and I found this is true for me. I was very tempted to use porn to return myself to a younger guy, a younger state of mind, and get those chemicals flowing. Now, I'm not talking about a medical condition. There are medical conditions, including erectile dysfunction, all that. And yes, you should talk to your doctor about those things. I am talking about artificially using porn to change the way your body works and reacts. I've had guys say, I need porn to perform. It gets me in the mood. And guess what? That doesn't lead, as you're growing older in your relationship, to a harmonious relationship. You guessed it. Remember a video I watched many, many years ago. I think it was called Someone's Daughter. I don't have it anymore. It was a really fascinating video. And one of the things in that video it talked about is the way porn robs from us as we get older. And I remember a statement. It says, porn robs us of the ability to grow gracefully and lovingly older with our partner. It leaves us dissatisfied. We have become eroticized around a certain template that never grows older. So we, for example, get stuck in the past. We are dissatisfied. It robs us of the ability to grow older and lovingly with our partner. And I would say in this situation as well, it leaves us without the ability to enjoy wife-sized sex. I'd love at some point to talk to a sex therapist. I'm actually talking with one about trying to do a podcast with one. But here's the point. Porn is an enemy to wife-sized sex. That whole idea makes a lot of sense to me. Whether you're single, 20s, whether you're in your 30s, whether you're in your 40s, whether you're older, and you're just getting older gracefully, and your wife is getting older gracefully. So I don't know what your big why is, but I would hopefully, as you think and process why you are wanting to create a new life which doesn't have porn at the center of it, that you add this concept in as well. And maybe it gives you a new understanding as to why it is such a toxic thing to add to your relationship, and how it will not set you up in good stead for the future. So there you go, wife-size sex. And I encourage you to reach out. If you want to chat with me, give me an email, bandofbrothers.care@gmail.com. Also, just a continuing note, we're always starting groups. I have a number of groups running for guys. Some are just regular groups for guys. I've got guys who are in ministry and different things like that, or pastors, and I do kind of specialized group for those guys as well. So whatever type of group you're looking for, I'd love to connect with you. Sometimes I connect with guys and say, hey, my group might not be the best for you, but have you tried checking out this person? I simply want you, wherever you're at, to feel some hope to take the next stage, to take the next step towards a freedom in your life, towards a better marriage, or towards having hope that you could be married and really thrive in that relationship. So God bless. Here's towards next time. Thank you.